Peace and welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a great show. It's going to be an abbreviated show, but we're still going to have a great show as we talk about the latest around Kanye West and his latest comments on the conservative show InfoWars, hosted by Alex Jones, and the implications that those late comments will have on the relationship between Jewish people and black folks in the country, and so much more. Also, we'll talk about the fact that Amazon has responded to criticisms about allowing that documentary, Hebrews to Negroes, to be posted on their platform. I'm gonna share with you what the CEO of Amazon had to say and why things may get even more serious than we thought. So stay with us. Those conversations are up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Peace and welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation and tuning in this afternoon. First and foremost, folks, we want to let you know that today we're going to have an abbreviated show because Roland Martin Unfiltered, RMU, will be doing an early broadcast at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will cut short to some of the conversations that we have on this show for the first hour. That way you can tune in to Roland Martin Unfiltered as Brother Roland is traveling. He's down in Georgia right now as folks are getting ready for that major runoff election between Reverend Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker for the Senate race down there. So again, RMU will be streaming at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so today, we're going to have an abbreviated show of The Culture here on the Black Star Network because we want to make sure that y'all tune in to us and to Brother Roland and not miss a word of what either shows have to say about today's topic. So just wanted to let you know. A big shout out to the online culture crew that's continuing the conversation. If this is your first time tuning in to The Culture here on the Black Star Network, you can join us in a chat. All you have to do is just jump in our chat as we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook right now and on blackstarnetwork.com. And you can join us in the chat and be a part of the conversations as we have some significant discussions about some of the relevant topics today. Now, folks, my topic today, and I'm going to present this as a fireside chat. One, because we do have an abbreviated show, but two, wanted to get your thoughts and your concerns around this latest situation with Kanye West. And I'm even going to bring up what Amazon had to say in response to criticism about posting a documentary, having it on their platform, the same documentary that got NBA superstar Kyrie Irving in trouble with folks. That documentary, I'm going to share with you what the CEO had to say about that situation. So we're going to get into those words in a little bit. But first, let's start off talking about Kanye West. Now, of course, here on this show, we've talked about Kanye extensively, but he went on another show, InfoWars with Alex Jones, a conservative talk show. Some people would go as far as to say he has conspiracy theories that he often promotes. Kanye went on the show with a hood over his face, folks, and basically did not stop any type of rhetoric against Jewish people. Now, you know, and I know that Kanye has been under great controversy ever since he posted a tweet where he said that he was going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. And as a result of that tweet, he has lost business partners, he has lost industry friends, he has lost money, and so much. Well, people thought that he had said it. At one point, he even, quote unquote, apologized and was hoping to get back into the good graces of folks, I think. But then he went on to talk to Alex Jones. And as a result of that conversation, folks, and I'm just pulling it up here. So I want y'all to join me. But as a result of that conversation, he said some more remarks that has gotten the Jewish community, both on the Republican and the Democratic side, very, very concerned. I want to share with you what Kanye said just in this dialogue that he had with Alex Jones, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. So again, post your comments in our YouTube chat. Now, folks, because of the sensitivity of this subject, we are not going to allow any type of hate speech. We're certainly not going to allow any type of racist rhetoric or euphemisms to be used on this show. So we are going to have, as much as we can, another discussion, a conversation that speaks to the issue more so that speaks more to just the emotion surrounding the issue. So I want to be very clear. I am not going to condemn. I'm not going to condone, any type of use of any type of racial slurs or any type of hate speech on this show. We are going to have a conversation, and I want you to be a part of the discussion. And we trying to figure out what the best way to present this. And I just thought to myself, let's just present this to our online culture crew. Let's have some discussion, because I want to hear what you have to say. So often you hear what we have to say. So often you listen to some of the voices that we bring on, and we truly, truly appreciate that. But then I also want to give space for you to share what you want to say. And if you say something that may not be factual, that's okay, because we have a ton of folks who do the study, who do the research, and who are ready to make sure that we don't walk away from this conversation confused or walk away from this conversation misinformed. All right, let's go into what Mr. West had to say, folks. And I posted this on my story on my social media, that this situation is getting way more serious. This situation is getting way more serious. That this is not a situation that is going to just die down. There needs to be a conversation, folks. And I'm going to just say this. There needs to be a conversation about history. There needs to be a conversation between Jewish people and Black people. There needs to be a conversation about power. I mean, there needs to be a number of discussions that have to be held in order for us to even get to a better place and understanding this. We cannot continue to be in a state of denial, nor can we be in a state where we want to be so emotionally caught up in the moment that we don't see the truth of the matter. And this is very important. This is very, very important, because the truth, as the saying goes, as it's written in scripture, will set us free. And I'm at a point, folks, and I hope that you are as well. You share the same sentiment. I'm really at a point where I'm good and looking past all of the rhetoric of a situation, but I want to get down to the truth, because no groups of people, whether you're Black, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whether you're Asian or Latino, no group of people are going to make the type of gains and make the type of progress if we continue to hold on to lies, if we continue to be in a state of denial, if we continue to act as if history didn't happen. All right, let me share with you what Kanye West had to say, folks. Let me just pull it up here. And as we do this, again, we want to hear from you. So Mask Ye goes on an anti-Semitic tirade on InfoWars. This is coming out of of NPR. According to Kanye West, when he went on InfoWars, it was a 3-hour situation, folks. But this is what he said. And this is what the part of the discussion. We can't get into the whole thing, but here's what part of it that got him an even deeper controversy. Alex Jones said, "You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized." You know what I'm saying? So that's what he said. This is what Alex Jones said. And Ye, who was appearing on his program along with white nationalist Nick Fuentes, who made headlines when he accompanied Ye to a dinner at Mar-a-Lago with former President Trump last week. Kanye West said, well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone. He said this in a response while wearing a fully hooded mask on the set of Jones's show. Kanye continued and said, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love us and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography, while also condemning Hitler. He added saying, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. Kanye said, every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. Also, Hitler was born Christian. As the show headed to a commercial break, Jones told Ye he had a Hitler fetish, to which Kanye responded, I like Hitler. Mm. Mm. Again, this is not the time, and again, this is why I want us to have this dialogue, folks, because this is not the time for us to get into a space where we're just talking out the side of our mouths or not understanding history, and more importantly, where we're just talking in a way that's going to be offensive and hurtful. We do have to have a conversation in America today. So I want to get your thoughts on this, folks. What you're thinking about with this situation. DeAndre, you checking in. Good to hear from you. You say, somebody come get Kanye. He does not speak for Black people, but he is putting us back, and they actually love it. DeAndre, you also posted, Kanye is a major disappointment, and I don't even check for him, but many do. The fact that he's constantly in most major tabloids speaks for itself. I appreciate you, DeAndre, for sharing your thoughts. So, okay, let's take a look at this, folks, because so many of you might have some of the similar views as DeAndre. But do you think he's setting us back? Do you think that this conversation about power, about the role and the history of Jewish people, and the relationship between Jews and Blacks, do you think that this is about a situation that sets us back? Now, I've said this before, and I'm gonna just reiterate this. Kanye will sometimes say some things of truth, but it's shrouded in so much other stuff that it's hard to differentiate. Like, you might say, oh, well, Kanye, you're not completely wrong on this issue, but then you sit down with a white nationalist, you meet with President Trump and all of those things. It gets shrouded. It gets shrouded. And it's hard to see the situation for what it is. It's hard to determine, well, what is truthful, what is not truthful, because all of us, everyone isn't exposed to that history. Everyone isn't privy to that knowledge of the relationship, not just between Jews and Blacks, the relationship of the sojourn of Black folks in this country. That's why I wore my shirt today. I am African amazing, because what I'm seeing right now, folks, and y'all tell me if y'all seeing it, if you're not seeing it as well. But what I'm seeing right now is that there is a real concern, and some folks will go as far as to say there's an attack on Black consciousness. There's an attack on Black consciousness, right? Because as Kanye is saying what he is saying, right? And in his interview, I was reading one time that that I think he had another conversation, or it may have been this conversation that he had with InfoWars. But he was making the point that Black folks are part of the Hebrew Israelite community, that Black folks are the real children of Israel. I mean, it gets deep. And, I think of my brother Michael and Hotep. I think of Dr. Carr. I think of so many of the Black scholars who talk about the great history of African people in this country and abroad, and what has happened to us during that treacherous journey from the shores of Africa to the shores of this part of the world that we know as the transatlantic slave trade. Who was involved? The impact that it made, the origin of American business and the origin of capitalism started with that transatlantic slave trade, where Black folks were taken from the shores of Africa, brought to America, and we were made slaves. I mean, this thing is so historical. But here's the thing that I don't want us the approach I don't want us to have, that this is nonsense. That this is nonsense. This isn't nonsense, folks. This is the part of the hidden history that we certainly don't talk about in the classrooms. We don't talk about that part, right? But this is a nonsense because a lot of us aren't exposed to this, even in our adulthood, of understanding the depth of what happened to Black people in this country, right? To the point where we have become from experiencing chattel slavery all the way up to the present day, to even to this present moment as we speak, folks, that even to this present moment, we are still fighting for our identity. We are still fighting for our sanity. We are still fighting for our own consciousness. All right, let's go back to what you got to say. Sophia, you checked in. You've been very vocal, and I appreciate you, Sophia. You said, I feel like using Kanye as an example is disingenuous because all we have to do is study history in its true form. Dr. Carr, Dr. Clark, and Dr. Certima are the best to use to navigate through ignorant, through ignorant, and making sure I'm seeing her comment correctly, people who don't read like Kanye. So we do have scholars. And you know what? I'm gonna do my part to use this platform. You know, we've had Dr. Carr on before. We certainly got Brother Michael. We had Dr. Horn on, of course, for the weekly pieces. And I'm going to reach out to all of those men and get some women as well to be a part of these conversations to understand the true history. Because to your point, Sophia, I think that that's necessary. We have a generation, and I would probably go as far as to say there are probably 2 generations of Black folks that really don't know the full history or don't understand the impact that the transatlantic slave trade has made on Black folks. But I would say it's, like I said, 2 generations. I may be, I might be off a little, but I feel like 2 good generations, about over the past 40 years worth of folks that just don't know certain things about our history. So I think that there has to be a re-education process that has to take place in order for us to understand this. And it's not by coincidence. I'm gonna just say that, folks. This is not by coincidence. Yesterday, we talked about LeBron James bringing up the point of Jerry Jones and his photograph in 1957 in Arkansas, LeBron defending Kyrie's, the narrative around Kyrie Irving. We're seeing these things, and we're seeing more Black men in particular, and I'm loving it. I'm all for it, folks. But we're seeing that there's starting to be this resistance, not a fake resistance, not like, just some televised resistance. I'm talking about a very real resistance, an internalized resistance against the stories, the history, the narratives that we have been conditioned to believe is true. There's some resistance now coming, not just from the common man like you and me, but resistance from high profile figures who have so much money and so much power at stake when they assert who they are. There's a phenomenon that's happening right now. Do y'all see that? Y'all see that? There's a phenomenon that's happening right now. And I brought it up yesterday when talking about LeBron, but I'm curious to see how black men in the NFL respond to not just to the Jerry Jones situation, but more importantly, respond to this sense of consciousness that a lot of black men and women in this country, we are so sick and tired of the lies. And this is a part of our culture. And even in our community, right, there's some resistance from each other. We have some who are saying, you know what, enough is enough. I'm tired of black on black violence. I'm tired of black folks submitting themselves to cultural norms that are destructive and violent to each other. I'm tired of black men disrespecting black women. I'm tired of black women disrespecting black men. Like, we are all searching, right? We're all seeking to find who we really are. And that's one of the things that stuck out for me when LeBron was saying his remarks yesterday, that Kyrie is, and he and himself saying that we're all looking to be ourselves. Because for so long, and this is the psychological part about it, and I got to bring my brother, as we having this conversation, it makes me think of so many people that we got to bring on. But we got to talk to a psychologist, because there is some real pain. There is a psychological impact. There's a break from reality that we are finding ourselves to be in, and the children, the grandchildren, those of us who, when, our parents, and I don't know about your parents, but I know that in the 70s and the 80s, like, we were on the pro-black tip in the late 60s and certainly in the 70s. But then once the 80s came in, once drugs came in, once doors started to open up where we could be in white spaces, right? We started to become in corporate execs. We started to become mayors. We started to run major companies. We started to get into certain spaces that we were locked out of. Then the tone had changed. And now, 40 years later, we're at this point that even though we are in those spaces, our identity is still on the chopping block. There's still being questioned. It's still a problem for America to handle a black man who knows his history, a black woman who knows her history, right? It's still a problem. And this ain't racism. This ain't anti-Semitism. I'm talking about us. Because we, black folks, y'all know, it is in our culture, we got to fight for every inch, every year of our history. Every year. All right, let me go to, we're going to take a quick pause. And y'all tell me, am I looking too much into it? I don't think I am. I don't think I'm looking too much into it. But this is what I'm seeing as being part of the controversy surrounding Kanye West and some of the things he's saying. Jay, now you say Ye is definitely having a serious break, and I'm pretty sure intimate soul ties to Kim are involved. Yeah, and I'm sure so too. Definitely. Dr. Nana Abina. Dr. Nana, I would love to hear what you have to say, so I'm glad that you joined us in the chat. You said if Kanye's mama is not around, where are all the mamas in the village? Get your boy, please. Invite your son home and talk to him, please. Real Brooklyn, you say, love that these young influential brothers are voicing concerns that affects our people, but one must take precautions regarding what is said due to who continues to write the checks. And that's the point, Brooklyn, Real Brooklyn. Brother, you know it and I know it. You know it and I know it. I got to take a quick pause, but we're going to talk about that, and then I'm going to share with you what Amazon have to say. But this is our fireside chat today. Again, we have an abbreviated show, so we'll be logging off around about 3:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we wanted to get the conversation. I wanted to end this week on a strong note so we can have some conversations over the weekend and then come back, in a space to have some more discussions on Monday. But let's take a quick pause right now. And then when we'll come back, we got more information to share with you. Stay tuned, folks. You're tuned into the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. So we have been today we're having an abbreviated show, so we'll be logging off at about 20 minutes or so. So that way we can make way for the early broadcast of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Y'all should make sure y'all stay tuned to blackstarnetwork.com, so that way y'all can tune into what Brother Roland and the family has to say about a host of issues. But that early broadcast will be kicking off, start streaming at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll have an abbreviated conversation today. But this conversation is about some of the recent statements made by Kanye West, looking at the bigger picture, not just what he said about Jewish people. But I wanted to key in on today, folks, and I hope that you're enjoying this discussion. I wanted to key in on the fact that I feel like that Black folks, the identity and the consciousness of Black folks is constantly being attacked. And so we're seeing high profile men. We see, of course, Kanye. We've seen Kyrie Irving. Yesterday, LeBron James was the talk on social media, and others who are looking at this and are trying to figure this out. And it's something that in the modern day America in 2022, no other group of people have to assert their identity as much as Black folks do. And if y'all disagree with me on this statement, tell me. Then you say, Faraji, you're wrong. But I can't find no other group of people in America that has to assert their identity more than Black people do. I don't hear white people saying as much, oh, I'm white, therefore. And I mean, if they say it, it comes out of the nationalist space, right? It comes out of this very racist space. You don't see Latino people say, well, because I'm Mexican. I mean, but Black folks, we have to assert our identity at every step of the way. I was reading an interview that Nia Long did with the Hollywood Reporter, and they was asking her about her career. They was asking her about her fiance, Coach Udoka. And one of the first things she mentioned in her interview, she says, I am super black. I'm super pro-black. And it's like, damn, like we always got to say that. We always got, so that way people have to know this place that we're coming from. Like, we can't just go in the room and just sit down at the table and be ourselves. We have to assert our identity, right? And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just simply saying that we don't see that coming from other groups of people quite as often. And that just goes to show that there is an attack. There is something that is happening in this country around consciousness and identity where Black folks are at the center of that controversy. Let me share with you what Amazon said very quickly, because my time is short. And y'all keep posting your comments. Join us in the conversation. We'd love to hear what you got to say. Again, we're not going to condone any hate speech. We're not going to condone any racial slurs. We're just having a conversation because this is the talk around the country. The relationship between Jewish people and Black people. The identity of Black people, right? Who are we for real? Who are we for real? All right, take a look. Take a look, folks. So Amazon responded to this situation because they were being criticized for having this documentary From Hebrews to Negroes, this documentary that Kyrie Irving had tweeted about. Amazon was criticized for allowing that documentary to be available on their platform. Here's what the CEO of Amazon had to say, Andy Jassy, who is Jewish. He's a Jewish man. Because the documentary has been criticized as being anti-Semitic, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said, it is difficult for the company to determine what content crosses the line to where Amazon doesn't make it available to customers. Listen to what he said. He said this at a summit. He said, as a retailer of content to hundreds of millions of customers with a lot of different viewpoints, we have to allow access to those viewpoints, even if they are objectionable, and they differ from our particular viewpoints. Now, dozens of celebrities, public figures, as well as Jewish organizations and the Brooklyn Nets have called on the company to take down the film or add a disclaimer offering an explanation as to why the documentary and related book are problematic. Amazon told the newspaper earlier this month that it would look into adding a disclaimer on the documentary's main page, but that hasn't happened yet. Look at the messaging that Mr. Jassy has put out there. He's saying that we have to allow access to those viewpoints, even if they are objectionable, and they differ from our particular viewpoint. That's powerful. That's a powerful statement to make in a time where what you say can be the source of your discomfort. That's a powerful statement to make at a time when we're having discussions about what is free speech for real. That's powerful, right? Very, very powerful. As we talk about free speech, it makes me think of Elon Musk. And Elon actually put Kanye West off of, suspended Kanye's account. He allowed him back on, but because of these recent comments, Kanye was suspended because Kanye had posted the Star of David with a swastika inside the middle. And so Mr. Musk said that that content violates the policy of Twitter, right? It violates Twitter's policy. On the flip side of that, as much as Mr. Musk is trying to hold Kanye and certain voices to be accountable, hate speech continues to rise under Elon Musk's leadership as the civil, what do you call himself? Chief Tweet or Chief Twit. So you got one thing happening, but another thing is emerging. Let's go back to hearing what you got to say, y'all. I love listening to y'all. It's my culture crew, so I'm truly, truly grateful for so many of you for checking in. Tay Monet, you said no one else has to assert themselves but us. It's like we always have something to prove, always. We cross the finish line, then we realize, guess what? That wasn't the end of the race. That was just the first lap. Tay, you know what I'm saying. And see, look, I'm going back to the point that I made earlier. This has a psychological effect on any group of people. When you think that you've made progress and only to be told that, guess what? You weren't good enough, or you didn't reach the end line, didn't reach the finish line yet. After you keep doing that over and over again, it's going to create a psychological problem for that group of people. Now, we could take it like a G, as they say, right? And just be like, all right, boom, I'm gonna hunker down and pull up my bootstraps, and I'm gonna go for it again. Because we have done that traditionally, and we have done that consistently over time. But now we're getting to a point, and this is what I'm saying, that we're finally getting to a point in this country. I think Black men and Black women are finally, I think all of us are getting to a point we like, man, look, we have been breaking our necks to be accepted, to be given opportunities. We have been breaking our necks, giving up sacrificing our health and well-being, our minds, our skills, our talents for a system that is just draining us, for a perception of power that is killing us. We have been breaking our necks to be accepted, to be seen as human beings. And it doesn't seem like, regardless of what educational achievements we make, regardless of what business acumen we may have, regardless of what schools we may go to, what neighborhoods we live in, what cars we drive, regardless of what type of vernacular we use, whether we code switch or not, regardless of the fact that some of us, we try to believe a certain way, we try to hold on to certain, we try to embrace certain political and sociological ideologies, regardless of all of these attempts, all of this stuff that we break our necks for, we come to that point where we're saying we're still not enough. You still didn't finish the race. You still are not good enough. You still are not seen as a whole human being. You're seen only as 3/5 of a human being. You're deficient. You're flawed. You're a problem. I mean, this is, and so many of us are we're just tired. I know I am. I'm tired, to the point where we have passed that thinking on to generation after generation, with the hope and prayer that each generation will take us further along. And guess what? They do. Black youth take us further along, but where do they take them further along to? They taking us further along a path that may not fit the current system that we want to be a part of. Black youth are taking us further along down a road, right? That may not keep us comfortable with where we want to be. They're moving us, but they making folks uncomfortable. It's shaking up the system. Something is really happening. Lana, you said, Ye having a voice does not mean he is crazy. I actually listened to him. You said you listen to him, don't often agree with him, but he makes valid points, and I'm willing to listen to his points. Like I said, some things you be like, okay, I can see why you said that. And other things you're like, bro, you way out in the stars. But see, to the person who is, and I think, Lana, you understand this, to the person who doesn't have a reference point of truth, or to the person who don't know their history, or the person who don't understand their identity, it can be confusing. It can be confusing. Conscious Thoughts, you checked in, Lana. Thank you so much. So it's good to hear from you. Conscious Thoughts, you say Amazon CEO won't take down anti-Semitic film because all they see is money. When or if the film no longer has the potential to generate money or interest, it will continue to remain available. That could be a big part of it. Look, Conscious Thought, you and I know, bro, the almighty dollar is sometimes more powerful than the almighty morals, the almighty values and beliefs. That dollar comes in. So I wouldn't be surprised either. Good point. Valerie McCoy, you checked in and said, we as a people should have been more vocal when Ye made the statement about slavery. Slavery cost us history, dominance, and spirituality. No other enslaved people lost as much as blacks. Facts. 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 Valerie, that's all I can say. My brother Damon, you said we as black people always have to validate ourselves when we enter the room or space. In my profession, I find myself always leading conversations with my credentials as an engineer. Right. You got to lead with your achievements. And that gets tiring, brother Damon. I know you got your son, your beautiful son, and your family. That gets tiring. That gets tiring. You don't want to come. You want to come in the door just being enough as who you are, not being enough because you got this many degrees and all of that, but just being enough because you got the brilliance, you got the know-how, you got the skills and the talents, just being you. And see, that's the part that I think a lot of white people don't understand, is that when you come into the room as a black person, you have to validate your very essence, your very presence all the time. In every single room in the house, every single room in the building, you got to validate. Hi, my name is Faraji Muhammad. I do this. I do that. I work here. I've done this. This is the school. I mean, every single time. And that's not like that for other folks, man. They come into the room and there's an automatic assumption that you belong in a room. Whereas for us, we have to provide evidence-based research that we belong at the seat. Ming Lee Natasha Surge, you say, I want to know what drugs are Kanye taking. I don't know, bro. I don't know. But again, if I think that we would do ourselves a disservice if we take all that is happening. Again, I don't believe in coincidences, folks. So I think that all that we're seeing around history and identity, all that we're seeing around asserting your value. I don't think that we should write this moment off. I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to have some very, very important conversations, not just for the sake of black people, the Jewish people, but for the sake of America. America is at a crossroads right now in this country. And you know who's at the center of the crossroads? Black people. Black people. The race problem in this country has never been solved or resolved. The question about race has never been solved. And so there is an opportunity right now to go past the emotions, to go past all of the other stuff. There is an opportunity right now for us to have some very, very important conversations about where we're going and how we're going to move forward. Big opportunity. And so as we close out today, folks, I hope that this discussion here on this platform at this moment in time will add to taking us a little bit further along and helping us to understand the seriousness of this moment that we're in. Please, let's not act as if this is just the ramblings. And I'm not just talking about Kanye. I'm talking about Kyrie. I'm talking about everybody that has something to say on this situation. Don't let this just be the ramblings of folks. Really put your thinking cap on, as they said in school, right? And think about this situation, because why? This could be the beginning of disrupting a system that has oppressed us and so many others, including white people, for so long. White people have lost as a result of their own supremacy philosophy. This could be a turning point. Not talking Kanye, I'm talking bigger than Kanye. But this could be a turning point that we got to have some very, very important and real conversations rooted in truth, rooted in history, rooted in justice in this country. Folks, I thank y'all so much for being a part of the discussion. I thank y'all for tuning in today to our special broadcast, this short abbreviated broadcast. And I hope and pray that this weekend and over the next few days, that we can have more conversations. This is our little fireside chat. So if you appreciated what we were, just putting out, make sure that y'all definitely share it. Go to our website, blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you support us financially. Make sure you support us as we are always streaming fantastic content, news, and information. And let's continue the conversation. Big shout out to my online culture crew. Thank you so much. Folks, stay tuned. Roland Martin Unfiltered will be kicking off in a few minutes, streaming live here on Black Star Network. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Have a great weekend. Peace.